Greetings from me, you're listening to WromComms, the podcast sharing the joy of sim racing and motorsports made by the WromRom team. Welcome, thanks for stopping by. I am Serta and I will be the host today. On this month's episode of WromComms, we have Automobilista 2 and its future.
Le Mans Ultimate gets a DLC. Hey, we didn't think this would happen. Let's talk about it.
And you won't be seeing Ike because he is away on family business. So this time we will have to do once again without Ike. This time not for a good reason. He's not sleeping to be prepared for a race. He is on family business. So we're thinking of you, mate. All the best to you. Le Mans Ultimate.
Yeah, let's start there.
Let's go there.
All right. So we last predicted when we were talking about Le Mans Ultimate and its future that motorsport games would not last long enough for a DLC to exist. And we kind of made that assumption with the subtext that we'd probably be getting WEC content at the end of the WEC season, which is kind of how
right.
Le Mans Ultimate.
It's kind of right.
Yeah, at least it's a right assumption.
Because they not only spoke about this one DLC, but they spoke also about 4 more paid DLCs, and that the whole of the WEC 2024 season won't be there until the end of the season.
Yes, yeah. So currently, Le Mans Ultimate simulates sort of, at least it has all the cars and tracks of the 2023 World Endurance Championship season, including, of course, the titular Le Mans, which is coming up soon, by the way, and I'm very excited.
Next weekend, right?
Yes. As of the time of this podcast recording, it's not this current weekend, but the weekend after this.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're listening to this on release, it will be the very closest weekend.
And if you're listening to this during the Le Mans 24 to spend some time, great! We're in favor of that.
Yes,
tell your buddies and all the drivers and everyone about it.
I just realized I had this thing open. So if you're wondering, why does Cody's background look different? That was why. Anyways, okay. Yes, sorry. The 2024 season is getting simulated in WEC, and that is big for, well, a few reasons. Number one is that Motorsport Games anticipates that they will last long enough to finish and release all of this, which is, in my opinion, a good sign. We're not here to root against Motorsport Games. We've been a little tired of their antics, we'll call it, over the past few years of canceling things. That reminds me of another topic that I do want to add to the discussion, but I'll come back to it.
You know what you're saying about Motorsport Games. We had their financials after Q1 on the channel, and they look better than I had expected. They look like as if they're hanging on to the cliff by the pinky, but they are not in free fall.
Yes, yeah. So in addition to not being in free fall, they are releasing the WEC 2024 content, which is, like I said, and then we tangented around, but I'm coming back to, it's important for a few reasons. Number one is this gives us 4 new hypercars. I'll go over the whole list of things in a moment, but it gives us 4 new hypercars, 7 new GT3 cars. Because remember, 2023 was the swan song year of GTE. So currently Le Mans Ultimate has GTE cars. So we're now going to be getting GT3 cars in Le Mans Ultimate. And the GT3ification of the world continues. We get 4 new circuits, And all of this will be spread out across, like Serta said, 4 individual packs starting in July.
Paid DLCs. Like the first DLC that they publish is gonna be the BMW for free, but the other 4
Okay.
you will have to
Yes.
pay for.
Yeah, so 4 paid packs. Yeah. They will release some free content and then they'll release some DLC content, which opens a few questions. Number 1 is, will it be the case that you won't get a full grid at all until it's all released? Or will it be the case that, they'll release, let's say the BMW is coming out, right? And
First
the BMW is a
hypercar
2024 car.
First 24 hypercar in Le Mans Ultimate.
Right, yes. So that's the 2024 version of that. We'll be getting skins for the hypercars like the Porsche 963, the Toyota, those that are existing from 2023 season and will be competing again in 2024. Sorry, Glickenhaus fans. You will not get a new skin. But will it be the case that you'll have to wait the entire time before you can race against the 2024 grid? Or will it be the case that they'll have like the 3D models as AI cars that are kind of balanced but not ready for a full driver release? This is a very common thing in aircraft simulation. Like you'll have AI only planes that simulate generally the flight dynamics of those planes, but they're not detailed enough to actually be flown by a player.
So they've done the outward model and enough of the physics that an AI can simulate flying it, but they are not there yet for the interior and the full physics so that you can fly with it.
Exactly. So the question that I have is, will the 2024 cars that are not done yet show up in the game with the 3D models, kind of like that AI thing for the physics? Or will it be that the 2024 grid will just look very empty at launch and then will fill out as these new DLCs come out? That's my question. We'll have to wait and see. I think it will probably be it will be an emptier grid and then it will spread out.
And we will have to wait because the communication with motorsport games is a one-way street. We get press information from them, but anytime that I fired back a question or I want to have more precise information, radio silence.
Yes. So I have another question, which is, what do they do with the Peugeot 9X8? Because that was wingless last year, and they've completely changed all of the bodywork panels on the 2024 version of the 9X8. And I'm not sure. Let's see. I have the list somewhere. I captured the list. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. It is listed. It is listed. I just had to look at my notes. Yeah. So that actually brings me to a good opportunity of talking about what is the content that's going to be added to Le Mans Ultimate in this 2024 roadmap. And in short, it is everything involving the 2024 FIA WEC that is not already in the sim. So in 2024, for the GT3 cars, we're getting all new GT3 cars. We didn't have any GT3 cars before. The Aston Martin, the BMW M4, the Corvette Z06 GT3R. So that's the specific GT3 version and not the GTE version BOP'd down like they ran in IMSA for a while. The Ferrari 296, the Ford Mustang GT3, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2, the Lexus RCF GT3, the 720S GT3 Evo from McLaren, and the Porsche 911 GT3R, the 992 version. All of those, if you're an ACC fan, those are all in ACC except for I think the Ford and the Corvette, and those are
I
coming.
think the Ford is in. Isn't it the one that they published as free content a couple of months ago?
I'm gonna trust you on that. Yes. Hypercars. We are getting the BMW M Hybrid V8 this month for free.
Well,
Which again,
last Monday, if you're watching this on Thursday, so the update comes on the 10th of June, and the BMW is planned to come with the update.
yes. So that also, like, I have further questions I will circle back to, but it comes with the BMW M Hybrid V8, the Alpine A424, which is the I gotta say, sorry, Porsche, my previous favorite car on the grid. The Alpine looks really good. It does. The Izzata Froscini Tipo 6C, uh, the underdog for this year to replace the Glickenhaus underdog. The Lamborghini SC63, which I think is barely edged out by the Alpine as the best looking car on the grid. The Peugeot 9X8 2024, like I forgot and then read there. And then tracks. We get Imola, we get Interlagos, and we get Losail, which was the season opener. That's Qatar. And we get Circuit of the Americas. We get COTA, and I'm gonna go to that race. That's in I think September. I went the last time that they went, which was 2020, right before the pandemic 2020. And so they haven't been back since. They're coming back finally, and so yes, I'm really excited for that one.
And Imola should already be out at the time that we publish the podcast.
Yes, so you can drive the BMW M Hybrid V8 and Imola by the 10th. So, yeah, this raises a few questions around implementation of these seasons, because right now, Le Mans Ultimate just simulates the 2023 season, so there's no toggles or anything like that of like, I want to race the 2023 race. Right now, if you load up a race, you're racing the 2023 season and race.
You're racing Le Mans, right? Or no, they have Le Mans and Spa, correct?
Yeah, well, they have Le Mans, Spa. They have all the 2023 tracks integrated in there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I'm wondering if they're going to mix the cars of the 2023 and 2024 season, and we'll have like GTEs and GT3s on track together, or the much more recommended implementation, they'll have a toggle of like, I want to race 2023, I want to race 2024.
Or maybe they make it so that you can decide yourself, I want to race the 2024 season, and then you only get the 2024 season. I want to race the 2023 season, then you only get the 2023 season. And the last one, leave me alone, I know what I'm doing, and you mix whatever you want.
Yeah, there's a secret third thing there, though, where and the way that they do the like selections, you can select your cars by category. So hypercars, LMP2, GTE, you can choose to race without LMP2 or without GTE, so it's only hypercars, or any combination of those. It may just be that they add GT3 as a fourth category, and then the 2024 and 2023 hypercars and LMP2s are mixed in together, and then you can choose between the GTE and GT3. That is most likely my guess as to the implementation that they're going to go with, but goodness, I hope that they have just a full toggle, because racing historically accurate grids is like my favorite thing, and that's one of the things I was most excited about for LMU. So the addition of new seasons is awesome, but because they haven't clarified how it's going to be, I'm a little worried. So
I'm more worried about another thing, and that is that it's going to be 4 paid DLCs for one effing season. 4 paid DLCs. And if they if they price them the same way that they've done with R Factor 2, and I expect it's what they're gonna do because it's Studio 397, it's motorsport games, then it's gonna be 20 euro USD per DLC. That's gonna be 80 euro just to be able to drive the 2024 season. Add to that the price of the sim, which is, what is it, 25 euro? $25?
35, I think.
35, even worse. No, 25 at least, while they are in early access, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But anyway, it's 80 euro USD for the 4 DLCs, providing they cost 20 euro USD each. We don't know yet, they haven't said anything. Plus 20,
It's 33 euro.
33. Okay, so
Yeah,
plus
sorry.
33, it's 113 euro USD to be able to drive the season of the year the sim came out. These are quadruple A prices, and it's
Well,
I
okay.
I
So
was
so
thinking.
I'll
Yeah, give me a second. I was thinking about oh yeah, let me buy LMU, and then Cody and I can compare notes and so on. And I said, wait a minute, how much am I gonna pay for 2024? Nope. And I didn't buy it exactly because of that. Yeah. Now your point or points.
They haven't announced pricing. We'll
Correct.
say that. So what's sort of listed there is just speculation
Mhm.
based off of
Absolutely.
the cost of a R Factor 2
Exactly.
DLC. So they are saying that they will be releasing a season pass to go along with the individual releases. So you'll most likely be able to save money there. We don't know what the price will be per DLC, given that this is a lot fewer cars than in a $20 R Factor 2 DLC typically is. And also, this is a very differently received game than R Factor 2 was. There's a lot going for, pricing being different than something for R Factor 2. Because whenever it's R Factor 2, it's in the R Factor 2 ecosystem. That means a lot of different things for the consumer than being for the LMU ecosystem.
Yeah, but they price LMU. They price it the same as R Factor 2, correct?
We don't know that because we don't have any DLC for.
No. I mean the sim per se. I think it's.
I mean, it's going to be a mainline release, so it would be priced similarly because they're both, sims. They're both games. But yeah, I don't know that we could say that necessarily. Because R Factor 2 right now is $30, but on release, I think it was more expensive because just as things go over the years, like GTA 5 off the top of my head is like $30 now. It was a $60 game. But it's old, and R Factor 2 came out in 2013, same age as GTA 5, which is why I bring that up. So they're both old. Le Mans Ultimate, different story, different world. We're in a world of $70 mainline game releases now as well. So like the whole pricing structure of things these days are different than they were for R Factor 2, even back when R Factor 2 was regularly releasing DLC. It's a different world pricing wise. That said, one of the cases for them charging a bit more, and probably the best point in your favor of it being expensive, and the reason also a triple reason, the reason why it's DLC in 4 parts spread out almost quarterly, not quite, but of the quarter, for each quarter from now to the end of the year, they have 2 infusions of cash that they're expecting, right? Motorsport games, they need the money. They're hurting for the money. So the spread out quarterly release will allow them to budget and plan how their budget will be for the next month, based or a couple months, based on the money that they're getting from each DLC.
I understand that, but that's a them problem. not a
It
me
is a them
problem.
problem, but it's a reasoning why they might charge what they
Mm-hmm,
charge.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and it keeps in line with what, for example, they did with the BTCC content in R Factor 2. Because you're paying for each car of the BTCC, you're paying, I think it's €6 or something like
Yes. Oh, we're also getting a quality of life thing. They've announced is we're getting a radar, which sounds a whole lot like Helicorsa.
that. Mm-hmm.
They
Great idea.
say,
I'm all in favor
yeah,
of
oh yeah,
that.
no, it's fantastic. Uh, it's really funny though because Helicorsa was in Assetto Corsa, it was a mod, and then it was officially implemented into ACC, and I'm so
By
used
the
to
same guy.
that little right, yeah, that little circle thing with the being called Helicorsa, so they're just
Mm-hmm.
calling this radar because they can't call it Helicorsa, right? They're not Assetto Corsa.
Yeah.
So I found that just kind of funny. Is that like innovations from Assetto Corsa modders are getting repackaged and put into a big release title WEC game.
Oh, well, yeah,
Um,
but for example, there is a radar in Automobilista 2 made by the same guy who made the mod for Automobilista 2. So
mhm.
Reza saw that it was good, and I think the developer is now in a permanent position at Reza. So imagine that. They found he was clever enough, and one of the modders. The car modders for Automobilista 2 is also part of the Reza team nowadays, doing interiors of the cars. So
Uh-huh. They will also be revising the race start penalty system. They will be implementing a replay mode, which, man, they figured that
at
out
last.
in the 90s,
Yeah.
how to do
I,
a
I
replay mode in a racing game.
I think it was not a case of we didn't think of it, but more a case of oh, we have to release. We are not ready with the replay. Snap. Okay, let's release. We'll put the deep replay in later.
For sure, for sure.
But yeah,
Um,
I was I'm not so deep into the LMU ecosystem as you are. I don't own the sim, so I was like, wait, it didn't have replays. Oh yeah, Cody told me. Dang. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But
But yeah,
the
so
thing is, for you, if you would not already have paid for it, would it be something that would entice you, or something where you would say, oh no? Because as I said, I was thinking about buying it, and then I saw 4 DLCs for the content of 2024. Nope. I mean, as you said, I'll wait until they publish the information, how much they're gonna cost, and how much the season pass is gonna cost, and then I may or may not change the opinion. But they're a little bit too obscure with the information for my liking. Not giving prizes, not giving content. Ugh.
well, they say that those will come up soon. So I would imagine we could anticipate them between now and the 10th. Uh, so
I don't think so, because the 10th is in 2 days and we have weekend. So I don't think that they're gonna publish any information about the DLCs that they didn't publish on, what was it, Tuesday, when they did the announcement
when's the BMW coming out? That's the 11th,
on the
yeah?
10th.
On the
So
10th. Okay.
the
So
update comes on the 10th. With it comes the BMW Imola and the Helicorsa and all that, the replays and all that stuff. That's gonna be the big drop, the big update that they're doing.
gotcha.
And 10th is Monday.
Yeah. So to answer your question, at this point, I will say on the podcast here, I'm still having problems running this darn thing. I don't know what it is about my combination of hardware. I don't know if there's something else. I have played with settings. I have frame rate capped. I have done all the things. I don't know what to do. I'm still having issues with this and no other sim. So that will color my answer, but I'm going to assume it works. For me personally, yes. I am the type of Le Mans and WEC diehard fan, though, that I have in my living room a wall of fame of Le Mans winners throughout the years of 118 scale cars from as many years as I can afford to get my hands on, including pretty much everything from the past 10 years. So I'm a, I was a day one buyer of Le Mans Ultimate. I will get the DLC because I do want to drive the 2024 hypercars themselves. I care less about driving the GT3 cars, but I do care about a complete grid. So if it is the case that, you have to buy the DLC to get the car on the grid, it may be a thing where I wait till the season passes out and I get it for cheaper than buying each pack.
Yeah. As I said, I'm holding tight to my money for now, and see what I do. So moving from one endurance to the other, moving from one information policy to the other, let's talk Automobilista too.
And this will be a great one because I haven't listened to this at all. So you get to tell me with fresh eyes, fresh ears. What's the latest? What's the latest, Serta?
So they dropped a development update last week, which means Renato Simeoni, the boss, said, okay, this is what we have already in the sim. This is what you are going to get as soon as we, at some point, deliver the 1.6 update. And the big thing that they said, based on the partnership they have with IMSA, is they have secured the license for 7 brands of cars that are in IMSA. The first one that they made public is Audi. And rumor has it that another one that is going to come is Lamborghini. They are going to publish DLC that's going to cost... so they are publishing 2 cars already, 2 Audis already for free. The one is the DTM car of the 90s, and the other is oldish, not really old, but oldish version of the GT3. So it's not gonna be the IMSA cars yet, because those are gonna come in a first pack. They're gonna publish 3 of the IMSA tracks on an extra DLC, €15 for 3 tracks. And let me look it up, because now, like right now, off the top of my head, I knew it, but I don't remember which one they have already said that is gonna be there.
While you pull that up, I will say I am very curious if one of these 7 manufacturers is Ferrari, because that is for racing game creators, simulator creators, one of the hardest licenses to get, or at least the most expensive.
If you're not Kunos, yes. Kunos being an Italian company, they seem to have a very special line. So yeah, so they are releasing the Endurance Pack 2 with the Audi R8 LMS Evo 2 and other cars with for €10 USD, and they're gonna publish an IMSA track pack with 3 tracks from IMSA for €15 USD, and they have confirmed that Road Atlanta is going to be one of the three. And I so dearly hope that Sebring is one of the other three, because that would be, for me, yummy. Sebring is one that you don't see much in official content. I think iRacing has it. And it would be great if we would get that in Reza quality. So this is the content, but a very interesting thing that they are doing, and this is like the summer special from Reza. The last years, every summer they have brought a big change in the physics. The 145, I think it was, had all the parts of the car working together, being able, like the physics of the car changed, because now as many parts of the car as they could emulate, and the inner workings of those were part of the 145, and you notice that in the force feedback, and therefore in the way that the cars behaved. Then came the 1.5 last year, which was the correction of a bug that they found deep in the Madness code that had to do with tires. And this 1.6 is gonna have what they themselves, I had to look up what that means, the hysteresis. That is the way that the tires and the tire behavior changes with regards to heat. How a tire that is normally something hard gets softer because it heats up, and it gets to what is called the working conditions, and therefore it gets better grip, but also a completely different way of dealing with the tarmac and the surface it's driving on. So they are bringing that into 1.6. Therefore, they are bringing a more detailed way the tires behave, including flat spotting, and you seeing the flat spotting, including graining, including, I hope, but I have not confirmed. I asked the developers of Reza, but they didn't want to tell me. I hope including when you use the brakes, you can use the brakes to warm up the tires better, at least at the beginning of the race. Like if you, something that you can do with Assetto Corsa Competizione, where you keep one foot on the throttle and one on the brakes, so that the brakes get hotter while you are on the starting lap. Or not on the starting lap, on the setup lap, and therefore that percolates to the tires. From what I read of what they've changed in the physics, this is something that you will be able to do now. So the tire physics are gonna get better. The way the cars behave because of that is gonna be more realistic, and they are continuing with their adherence to endurance now that they have the partnership with IMSA, with the first cars, the Audis, and the first tracks with they said 7+ more brands that they're gonna bring in, but they have secured 7 licenses, not only for the IMSA cars, but also for other cars of those brands, which is especially interesting.
This is a little bit more of those cars limited, but one of the big ones that I'm very curious about is Orica, because as far as I'm aware, Automobilista 2 doesn't have an officially licensed LMP2 car. Is that correct?
Well, they have kinda LMP2 cars, because there are LMP2 similar cars in Brazil,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and those are
Yeah,
the
but they are
ones.
their own class. They're
Yes,
similar,
yes.
but they're not quite the
I
same.
think they're the Metal Moro. But yes,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
agree
Yeah.
with you.
Okay.
They are not the official WEC or IMSA LMP2s.
I will say the Metal Maros are cooler looking. Just a point in their favor. Uh, yes.
But yeah, I mean, I was already expecting that the IMSA partnership would be a great thing for Reza, but I was not expecting that they would get. I suppose the people from Reza who do that, and I suppose mostly it's Renato Simeoni, have been talking every day of the week, including weekends, with one of these license holders to get them, because it's quite soon. When did we know about the IMSA? Was it April?
Something like that. Yeah. It's
So
March or April.
so it was fast in securing those seven licenses. As they say, it's 7 licenses that they already have in the bag. More hopefully to come. So that's gonna be interesting months. I am of the lucky ones who, when it was still alpha and they hadn't published even one single line of code, I already bought into Automobilista 2. Because of that, you got the season pass, the 2020-2022 season pass, all DLCs, so to speak, for free, because you had prepaid. I paid 99 euro. And when they then released what they call the Paddock Pass, which was a time limited offer of anything that we publish in the future for Automobilista 2, you're gonna get through this Paddock Pass. They made everyone who was part of the alpha and had already paid for the alpha, they made Paddock Pass holders. So I'm going to get all the content from Automobilista 2 since it came out until it is end of life, for the 100 euro that I paid then, which for me as a sim racer is one of the best investments I've ever done.
Awesome. Yeah. Very, very cool. Very cool.
So
right, I'm itchy.
How stoked are you about IMSA in Automobilista 2? Because you've been all the time, you've been around Automobilista 2 saying, yeah, it's cool, but when do I find the time, and ha and humph? So
that's exactly it. I am looking forward to IMSA content to get me into Automobilista 2 more. I have launched the game. I have played it a bit. I will say a point on it versus my mainline Assetto Corsa that I have thousands of hours in at this point. The AI is better. It's just straight up better. It's probably the best AI I've driven in any sim. I'll just straight up say that. But yeah, it is the content, it is setting up things, it is the lack of the ability to set up like a skin pack and load like specific cars to the it really is just the setup of how races are put together.
You can pick and choose which cars are in a race, and you can do multi-class racing in Automobilista 2, and you can add up skins even more easily now that the Automobilista 2 content manager is out.
Yeah, and the AMS2 content manager I haven't played around with much. I probably should.
It's very easy to use. If you have any issue, if you have any questions about that, I can help you. Because it's one of the easiest pieces of software that is out there. And if you have any deeper questions, I can set you up with a developer because I have a direct line to him. So
all right. Well, I will play around with it more. But I will say that in Assetto Corsa and before that GTR2, the main thing that I did and the main enjoyment that I get out of sim racing is setting up or getting as complete a skin pack as I
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
for a
Mm-hmm.
championship,
Mm-hmm.
and all the cars for that championship. And it's usually best if it's a multi-class kind of thing, or at least a multi-car sort of thing, not just like a Formula or a Cup where everything's the same. And then I have all all the tracks of that championship, and then I go through and I race
Yeah.
that championship. I immerse myself in that season as a driver, and I love doing like the historic stuff.
And by the way,
I've been racing through.
you do know that in Automobilista too, you can set up historic weather, so you can say put the same weather that was on that day. We're driving on, I don't know, the 2nd of August of 1997 at that and that place, and you will have the weather, I think, with a granularity of 15 minutes, the weather that was there. So
That is very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I had heard something about that, but yeah, no, it is not entirely out of like disinterest entirely that I ignore AMS2. There's also like I'm I'm familiar and I have all the content
yeah.
that I not all the content, but a lot of the content that I
Mm.
want in Assetto Corsa, and so it's like for anything to catch up to my specific install of Assetto
Mm-hmm.
Corsa to make me switch over entirely is a big ask. But it's one of the things that made me excited about Le Mans Ultimate was that like
Mm-hmm.
that's one season,
Yeah.
you simulate the championship. We don't have the championship part of it in there yet, but you know all the content's there. Everything to make that great is there. Um, but moving on. There is a quick topic that I want to talk about. Last time around, we mentioned that Fanatec is getting bought out by Corsair.
That
It
Corsair intends to buy it. Let's be very precise about that, because these financial thingies sometimes they don't turn out the way. Remember, what was it? Y2K wanted to buy Codemasters, and
mhm.
then EA came around and snatched it from their jaws. So,
Well, we got reporting. This is actually from the renewed traction. They're back from the dead, by the way.
hey, good that you're there. Welcome
Yes,
back.
yeah. So, they got bought by Rafa Racing Club, and from our assessment of them, they're pretty much just subsidiary owned by a rich Houston oil guy, and so he has given them money to exist again. They've brought back most of the original staff, and they're back. So that's awesome. And one of their first bits of reporting back was they read through a Q1 2024 earnings report for Indoor AG, and they have found that or they say that Indoor AG claims that the Corsair buyout will definitely happen. So
Yeah, but
should you trust them at their word?
no, because
But it is what they say.
there's a group around Thomas Yakamaya who owns at least half of the stocks that are pushing against it and are moving in a different direction. So at the moment they're still doing a power struggle, something that you might see in the next movie by one of the big directors.
Yes. Gran Turismo 2, the buyouting. Um, so yeah. But regardless of that, Corsair themselves not Fanatec X Corsair, but Corsair themselves have announced that they are actually they've not just announced it, they've shown their new prototype for a tubular frame sim racing rig. This is their first ever foray into sim racing hardware since saying that they're going to buy Fanatec. They want to buy Fanatec. They're intending to buy Fanatec. They have released this rig, and it looks beefy. It
So
is robust. It is heavy. It is intense. This thing, it is, as I said, made of a tube frame chassis construction, and I don't have the thickest arms in the world, but they're as thick as my arm. We'll say that. Um,
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
yes, yeah, it has. It says that it will take a direct drive wheel of up to 27 newton meters of torque and pedals with 150 kilograms of braking
Looks
force.
similar to my RS1, but I think that what they have published is a computer rendering.
It is. Yeah,
Okay.
this is they've announced this, they're showing it. Yeah, their initial like hero image has a it's all this in solid. It's the monitors in solid, it's the seat in
Mm.
solid, but then the pedals and the steering wheel
Mm.
and the base is I believe a Fanatec kit that they have like ghosted in there, which is
Mm.
hilarious. But yeah, it's a direct drive mount. It doesn't look like there will be the opportunity to put like a tray or anything
Thi-
on there.
this is going
No,
to
no, it
weigh.
does. It does look like there could be a tray. But
Mm.
anyways, go ahead.
This is gonna weigh a ton and a half, like my RS1 does. But on the other hand, if it's anything like my RS1, and why shouldn't it? Because Corsair are known to deliver quality, at least for what they normally deliver, which is RAMs. Uh, it could be an interesting proposition. What is even more interesting is that they didn't wait until they have bought up Fanatic. They just went and said, you know what, we're going sim racing anyway. If we can get Fanatic or not, either we publish this as Corsair or it comes out as Fanatic. We don't care. So another thing that just came to mind. That means that they have people themselves as Corsair working on sim racing hardware, at least on rigs.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And it is one thing to create a a rig, which is a very mechanical kind of construction,
Mm-hmm.
or at least it's a very building kind of
Yeah.
construction. You're welding together, in this case, tubular stuff. You're
Mm-hmm.
bending tubes. It's a very machining kind
Mm-hmm.
of job, which Corsair, they make PC cases, they make other peripherals. I think they make headsets. They make all sorts of.
They're especially known or renowned for everything that has to do with memory chips like SSDs,
Yes, yeah,
RAMs, and similar. You cannot go wrong. At least I haven't got wrong with buying Corsair RAMs or Corsair SSDs. They are sturdy. They live forever and ever and ever after, and they are quick to an acceptable pricing. They're not the cheapest, but they're you get what you pay for.
for sure, for sure. There is one thing on this render though that I found very interesting. They have so there will be different accessories that you can get with this, including an up to a freestanding monitor mount that goes around the already beefy uh, frame of the rig itself, and has your triple screens. So you can have a single screen configuration that is mounted on the rig itself, or you can have a freestanding triple screen configuration that you could move forward and back independent of the rig itself. Uh, they can support up to 49-inch ultra wides on the onboard monitor mount. So my lovely Samsung G9, yeah G9, would fit on this, which you could probably fit 3 of these on there, given how thick this thing is. It is, I cannot stress enough, a hefty boy. Um,
What I'm asking myself, because it's kind of detailed, this rendering. Um,
mhm.
I would presuppose, and that may be far fetched, that they did the rendering based on CAD files that they already have.
Oh, certainly. Oh, certainly. This is definitely a production ready kind of thing. They have like there are rubber feet on the
Yeah,
bottom of this thing, and if you were to zoom in, you can see like kind of the screws. Like
yeah, exactly.
it's not a conceptual render at all.
Yeah.
This is ready to ship.
It's not we may do it like that. It's well, we have designed this and now we have to test it to find out where we're going with this, but this is the design.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
So another thing very important to note. Whenever we met with Sawbelt, and we were filming the stuff at Sim Racing Expo
Mhm.
for the Sawbelt Sim Racing stuff. One of the recommendations that I had was they had a mount
Mhm.
for your PC on the rig, and it was mounted pretty high up,
Mhm.
the optional PC mount. And my recommendation was to mount it just right above the pedal box. It would keep it lower, and on the inverted pedal box that they had, it was almost flat anyways, and so they could just flatten out the pedal box top, and then you could just put a PC case there.
Mhm.
On the Corsair rig, the whole thing is
Mhm.
structured a little bit different. It's not made out of aluminum 8020 profile. It's made out of tubes, but they have basically that exact same setup.
Mhm.
You have
Yeah.
the foot pedal area, and then above that, mounted on the tube frame that goes and curves over the foot pedal area, you have a flat spot to put a PC case. That is exactly what I was wishing that Sawbelt would do, and it's on this. So Sawbelt originally kind of had my money earmarked, but this now, if I could fit it in this corner, they're looking a bit more promising for what will Cody's next rig be in the next 2 to 5 years. So hey, anyways, it's a small topic. It's just one product, but it signals that Corsair is serious about getting into sim racing, and that is awesome.
So if they don't get to snatch Fanatic, they are still going into sim racing. So it's buying Fanatic would be a strategic decision because it's always a decision of make or buy. And if you have the opportunity to get somebody who's already big in the business, you go and go for it. But if Fanatic, I would gather the thought, if buying Fanatic gets too complex for them or it takes too long, they're going to say, you know what, it was a nice idea, but we have places to go, places to be. We're going on with our stuff because we already have people who are able to do that.
For sure.
Interesting.
So I hate to bring it back to motorsport games, but it's like talking about motorsport games, or I'll say sim racing news people not talking about motorsport games is like TMZ not talking about the Kardashians. It's just not. It's drama. It's a lot of drama, so much drama, but it is core to the ecosystem that's going on. And one of the things, we have a development of the IndyCar and motorsport games uh, debacle that's been going on. Background again, IndyCar gave the license to Motorsport Games. Motorsport Games bought the license to IndyCar. They said they were going to release an IndyCar game, standalone IndyCar game, similar to Le Mans Ultimate in, I think it was 2023.
And then they moved it to 2024. And then they said
and then
no, and then it took so long that IndyCar said, you know what, no way, Jose.
exactly. We did see IndyCar content come to R Factor 2 as DLC,
Mm-hmm.
but that is not the same thing as a standalone game. And so, originally the idea was IndyCar revoked the license, and we figured that would just be the end of it. IndyCar would take their license and go somewhere else.
They did.
They did. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. iRacing, was that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
They brought it back to iRacing. Now, when we were last left off, now that my brain is reconnected with iRacing, it was okay. We're gonna have IndyCar in iRacing again. We're gonna have IndyCar events in iRacing again. That's awesome. It's not a standalone thing though. However, there's hope on the horizon because IndyCar has settled with Motorsport Games. I don't know if it's like a court settlement, but they've settled negotiations with Motorsport Games to hand the in progress standalone game assets to IndyCar themselves.
What does that mean?
So
Which assets are those?
it is like the actual game production thing. So I would assume some level of UI, physics, 3D models, track modeling. My guessing. I'll send you the thing. But yeah, so iRacing initially bought it, and so now IndyCar owns the in progress work, basically what Motorsport Games had started on, or what probably Studio 397 had started on, of the standalone game, and now IndyCar has it, and IndyCar has a working relationship with iRacing again. I'm wondering now if iRacing will be producing. They haven't said this, but this is my speculation. That iRacing will be producing a standalone game in the same way that they're going to be producing a standalone NASCAR game. Because remember, we had a similar thing with the NASCAR license getting handed to iRacing after the terrible NASCAR Ignition, which I've heard. There was someone I can't remember I was talking to who said it's decent now with some updates, so we might try a several years revisited. But I'd have to buy it again because I had such a terrible experience on launch that I refunded it. Yeah.
So just a tiny bit of information. It gets 9 average daily users. Daily. So that's the state at the moment. Because you know that I gather the statistics every month for our monthly article, and while I don't talk about NASCAR Ignition because, excuse me, 9, but
Right.
I still gather that because, hey, I mean, things happen. So yeah, 9 average daily. That is, I'm surprised that is as many. Kartcraft gets more with 25.
Well, that's not surprising. Kartcraft is cool. It's a dead game because they're not releasing any content for it. My goodness, I wish they had time to bring Dallas Karting Complex in before they stopped developing. But boo.
I wish
okay.
I wish they would have put. They were thinking about opening up for mods. And I wish they would have been able to do that before they were bought up, because then we would maybe have a deluge of mods, because every city has at least one kart track.
Yeah, and if there was a pipeline to port the Assetto Corsa kart tracks into
Kartcraft.
Kartcraft, right? It's like Assetto Corsa has so many kart tracks that people have made for it. I don't know why, because Assetto Corsa is terrible for karting. Even the best kart mod sucks eggs because chassis flex is just not a thing that's simulated, and it's so important to a kart. I've tried it; it's bad. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So, IndyCar standalone game. There is hope. Motorsport Games is now completely washed their hands of the IndyCar license at this point.
But a question is, would it be a PC game? I don't think so, right?
Well, if iRacing is making it, it would be a PC game. The NASCAR game that they're developing,
World of Outlaws is a console only game.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that, which is probably a strong indicator against making your sim racing title not on PC. But I think World of Outlaws always was a how do I say this? Simcade focused kind of thing. Is that correct? I'm not very
Yeah,
familiar
no,
with
it's
World of
not.
Outlaws.
It's not a sim.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a racing game that uses a lot of the information that comes from iRacing, because they own the license and they have experience in dirt racing and so on. But yeah, it's more it's lighter on the simulation of physics than iRacing or other sims are. Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, with the NASCAR license, last I heard, and again I'm fuzzy on this, iRacing was going to be developing a standalone game, and kind of the interpretations of that, based on what they had said, was that it'll be kind of like a return to form of what iRacing was developed from, of NASCAR Racing 2002. Kind of like it simulates a season and it simulates it well.
It's interesting. We are tending to so the world of sim racing is separating in two at the moment: the general sims and the specific sims. Le Mans Ultimate with WEC, NASCAR maybe, IndyCar maybe. You could say that Assetto Corsa Competizione is SRO, GT3s, GT4s, GT2s, but SRO. While on the other hand, I suppose that Assetto Corsa Evo, I was gonna say too. Assetto Corsa Evo is gonna be general. Automobilista 2 is general. R Factor 2 is general, but it's old, and who knows what is gonna happen with R Factor 3. And yes, I have read the article on Traxion. Hi guys, good that you're back.
Yes, welcome back.
So we have Assetto Corsa, which is old and is gonna be maybe superseded by Assetto Corsa Evo. We'll see what happens during this summer. We have Automobilista 2, which is a general one. It's a new one, and it's one that is thriving and living. We have R Factor 2, which for all intents and purposes, and if I understood the Traxion article, won't get any updates anymore. We have Race Room, which is surviving. And then we have a lot of single purpose sims. Let's call it that. We have EA Sports WRC. It's EA Sports trademark WRC. We have Le Mans Ultimate. We have Assetto Corsa Competizione. And Pista Motorsport, from what it seems that is gonna be, it's gonna be also concentrated on these very specific car series in Argentina. So it's interesting because at the end of the day, we're gonna have two generalists. Assetto Corsa Evo and Automobilista 2 that are actual, that are still thriving, and with not only content updates but also updates within the code and so on. And then we will have a lot of very specific series oriented sims.
Well, I mean, that's not a new thing. You go back to the 90s and 2000s. You go back to the 90s, you had Ferrari F355 Challenge, which was a simulation of the Ferrari Challenge series. Simulation, as close as you got back then. But I mean, you did back that far. You had Grand Prix Legends. That was the 1967 Formula One season. You had GT Legends. That was fewer people know about the specific division of this, but this was specifically the 2005 FIA GTC TC Historical Challenge.
But didn't it have a lot of different? I remember that it had. No, I think I'm thinking GTR2 that had endurance and all that.
Yeah, so that was the other thing. GTR and GTR2 simulated the, well, I'll say GTR2 simulated the 2003 and 2004 FIA GT series. So that was a specific simulator. For both of those, the modding community made them into generalist sims, especially because you could select from the different classes, and people with the modding community in GTR2, GT Legends made it so that you could just select, rather than, TC or GTC in GT Legends, you could select WSC Sports 5.0, and then that's all the Sports 5.0 cars from the WSCs,
and you had race
WSCCs.
You had race 07, which was a WTCR.
Yep.
On the other hand,
absolutely.
you had Toka 2 and 3, which were generalists, because they had PTCC, DTM, even truck racing, which I loved. So yeah, true, but
if generalist sims back in the day, it's considered kind of a simcade these days, but Gran Turismo was a sim, and that was a generalist sim of the day.
Yeah. So we've always had a mix of those, but I feel like at the end of next year, let's put it this way, there's gonna be 2 generalists that are being maintained, and a lot of single series sims.
Yep. Formula One, whatever the NASCAR game ends up being, whatever the IndyCar game ends up being. Hopefully, those are good experiences in iRacing's hands. I think that's a pretty good bet. But yeah, it'll be good things on the horizon, I think.
Oh yeah, amongst the generalists, I forgot iRacing, but so yes,
and AMS too.
No, I mentioned AMS too, but I forgot iRacing, which is a very senior moment for me. I'm ashamed to say.
No worries. Now here's a question for you. This just popped into my head. Do you think Race Room will be around by then? Or do you think it'll still get maintained in a year?
It's
barely getting maintained now.
It's barely being maintained, and when I try to pry information from the KW people, they try not to answer. So either they are working on Race Room 2, which is something that I've heard a couple of times, but I've not seen anywhere, or they are closing shop and not telling anyone, and they only have a couple of technical people, and then mostly people doing the design for the specific cars, or they're trying to see how they can survive. Yeah, go ahead.
I will say KW and Race Room had a massive booth at Sim Racing Expo last year.
Yeah, but Race Room not that much. KW with the Asher stuff and the Race Room hardware stuff, yes, but the Race Room sim not that much. They had what was it, six what do you call it, 6 rigs where Race Room was running, but it's not as if they were saying, oh yes, and in the next 12 months we're gonna be releasing A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
That's true. That is definitely true. Whenever we had a trying to figure out what I can say. I would say that I think that they're not finished with development of simulator software, is my guess. They might be done with Race Room in the current iteration, or winding down at least, but I don't think they're fully out of the game. Their attitude around sim racing everything, they've been investing a whole lot more on the hardware side of things, so it could just be that KW as a parent company just does hardware stuff, because KW is a hardware company. So whenever they got bought, It's like, and I say hardware like suspension,
Yeah,
coilover,
but let's
kind
not
of
forget
hardware.
they are in a lot of European racing cars.
Yeah.
They're not a small number.
No, no, yeah. They're definitely not a small organization. Um, anyways, our discussion of older Sims makes me think of a good closing question. Um, do you think we're about there?
Yeah. Let's go. Wait, what? Yeah, we've been talking for about an hour, so yeah.
Okay. So, my closing question is, what is your favorite sim that is 12 plus years old? And I say 12 plus to
Avoid Assetto
eliminate.
Corsa.
Yeah, avoid Assetto Corsa. I was going to say 10, and I was like, oh, hey, it's Assetto Corsa's 10-year anniversary. They qualify now. But yeah, no, what is your favorite 12 plus year old sim? And it can be as far back as you want. If you want to say, I love pole position,
you
go
know,
right ahead.
you know, I'm prone to cheating with the answers. I'm gonna cheat this time also. I loved Toka 2, very specifically Toka 2. First of all, because it had the DTM, and I love those Class 1 cars, and I loved them already then. And it was the first time that I had the opportunity to drive, and I say that with air quotes, to drive a DTM car. And it was fantastic because I'm driving a DTM car. And then it had a lot of other content that I loved to test. As I said, it was immense fun to be driving a truck and to be driving differently than I was driving the DTM cars because it had that much of a simulation. On the other hand, GTR2 had great content and it had something that I have not seen until then, and that is that you could learn how to drive because they put you in very specific places of very specific tracks and told you, look, you're gonna learn how to brake for a corner here and here, and this is how you should do it. And they had a school, and that's something that I have not seen since then. And that was great. I mean, first GTR2 was great, and it had endurance in a way that I could drive endurance because you could drive for 2 hours, then save it, and the next day you could drive the next 2 hours. So over the course of, I don't know, 2 weeks, you could finish a 12-hour endurance or even a 24-hour endurance, which I would not have been able if I would not have been able to save. So I go Toka 2 and GTR 2. Your pick.
Lego Racers. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, Garfield.
Yeah, there you go. You would go with Garfield Kart. Yeah, mine has to go to, I mentioned it earlier, GT Legends. GTR 2, I've spent more time in an actual sim racing rig. And it definitely had the bigger modding community. But in terms of base content, I'm a classic guy. I love cars of the 60s, cars of the 70s, and GT Legends scratches that itch like crazy. The Porsche 906 in that is one of my favorite cars to drive ever. And the Datomaso Pantera was... I fell in love with the Datomaso Pantera through that game. It was actually the first racing simulator I ever got. I got it at a half-price books. If you're in America, you know what that is. I got it at a half-price bookstore when I was a kid, a young kid, and I played it just with a keyboard and mouse on my mom's laptop growing up. That was what got me into sim racing. It's what made me into this. And but not just for nostalgia. It stands on its own. I have loaded it up within the last year, actually, and driven some of the first few races of the career mode that it has. It has a career. There's progression. There's a money system in it. You buy cars for X amount of dollars. You win money in races, and you use that to buy more cars. You have to sell cars to buy new cars to enter into this other championship that you'll do a series of races in at different tracks. It's amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. And it has some of the creature comforts of a modern thing. It's got like the little race logic controller because it's not simulating a historic thing. It's simulating the 2005 FIA GTC TC championship, historic championship. And it has a great selection of tracks.
Yeah, and it has tracks that had not been seen until then and have not been seen since then as official tracks. As mods, yes, but not as official tracks. And not even in Race Room, and it's historically the same team.
Yep. Yeah. Anderstorp comes to mind.
Although Anderstorp is in Race Room.
It's in Race Room? Okay, but not both layouts, right?
No, it's only one layout.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Because you can race. There's a north layout. I think it's north. I think it's north and south. It's either north and south or east and west. But there's one layout that has the pit and paddock in area, and then there's another layout where it's like it just lays the cars out like alongside the track, if I remember correctly. And it has the south, but that's apparently how they ran it. Because Anderstorp, the start finish straight is not actually where the start finish line is. The start finish line is over there on that side. So GT Legends is the only place where you can race just the like subdivided layouts of Anderstorp. And that is repeated for a number of other tracks where like GT Legends has things that are to this day exclusive.
And you, our wonderful viewer listener, what is your favorite over 12-year-old sim that you raced
you
then?
Don't have to go as in-depth as I did.
That you raced then or are still racing today, because I think there's still mods coming out for GTR2.
There are. I need to catch up on some of the hypercar stuff that's been added to GTR2.
And with that question, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And until next time, save fuel, collect pickup, and we'll see each other on the podium. Bye.
Bye.